Well, hello, YouTube. It's me, Jessie, and my hair has grown quite a lot, or it is extensions, since the last time I have appeared on the Teach English in China channel. So why am I here talking to you guys today? And why am I in my house with very dim lighting? That is because the coronavirus has happened, as I'm sure you know. It's kind of hard to miss. And I have been encouraged not to leave. Have I been locked in by people putting gates on the doors to my house and telling me I'm not allowed to leave? I have not. And that's why I'm making this video today, to sort of inform you on what our daily life is like and discuss some of the reactions from my company, reactions from people back home, and how I've been handling that. So first, what is my daily life like? Well, I have a dog, and she is over here chewing on my shoe at the moment. And obviously with a pet, you have to take them out. Being locked in your house would not work unless you just want to let them do the business on the floor, which I don't do. Now, to walk my dog, I can either take her into the community and let her use one of the grassy areas, or to take her outside to walk around in the community area or over near one of the parks by the river. Am I allowed to do that? The answer is yes. I just have to wear a mask and get my temperature taken when I come back into the community. Why are they doing this? They're taking our temperatures to make sure someone with temperature or showing symptoms is not going to be coming into the community and putting other people at risks. Obviously, you touch elevator buttons and you're coughing, and if you're sick, this is dangerous to the people around you, especially considering the spread of the illness and how quick it's been. However, I'm still able to go grocery shopping. There's been no food shortages, and generally my day-to-day life is not too terrible. In fact, today I went out with my friends to go have some Indian food because I'd been stuck in my house for 20 days, and it was fine. I just wore a mask and I was still able to get a DD, which is Uber for those of you back home, and there was no issues doing that. People were handling the food with care, and my temperature was taken when I came home. So as you can see, daily life is disrupted a little bit, but not because we're being locked into our houses, but more so because it's a little inconvenient. Like, instead of the delivery driver coming to my door, I now have to go down to the Baoan station and collect my deliveries myself, which is a huge first world problem to complain about, right? But in reality, it's not that bad. They're not having delivery drivers come in because, as you can imagine, they come into contact with a lot of people. We have to go pick up our deliveries, pick up our packages, which takes maybe like 2 minutes to walk down to the community gate. But otherwise, things have been fine. At grocery stores, they're pre-packaging things, which in terms of like sustainability is not great. But they're packaging things so that you can pick up your bundle of oranges, or you can take your strawberries without having to physically pick them out. And this is because they're trying to reduce the amount of contact that people are having with the materials at the store. Workers are taking your temperatures and wearing gloves. The local convenience store I go to with the very sweet old lady, she is handling everything with gloves and wearing a mask. These measures are to prevent the spread of disease and to protect ourselves. With face masks, I see back home people discussing that there's a huge shortage of face masks, and that is true. If you go to the pharmacies in the area, it's very likely that you will not be able to find a face mask. However, for us, our company has been providing us with face masks by sending our academic coordinators out to deliver them to the students, as we are able to deliver them to the students, deliver them to the teachers. We are not students. Deliver them to the teachers as are needed. Of course, we're still discouraged from going out too much as masks are in short supply, but if you're just running out, you can reuse a mask a couple of times because it has a lifespan of 2 to 4 hours, right? So yeah, that's generally what our day-to-day life is like. What else? What's traveling like? So I had a wonderful vacation to Korea, just as the coronavirus broke out. And as me and my friend John were sitting in our hostel in Korea, we went to go check our flights because we had just read that, like, the cases were escalating and that flights were getting canceled. And our flight had in fact been canceled. Not our flight into China. So we flew from Incheon into Qingdao, and then Qingdao to Fuzhou, which is the city we're located in. And our flight from Qingdao to Fuzhou was canceled because that was just when airlines were starting to sort of release all of their announcements of suspending flights or cutting their flights in half. We were able to get a connecting flight through Xiamen and take a train up. When we went through security at the airports, we had our temperature taken so many times. I had a cough. I do not have coronavirus. I had bronchitis. And when I flew into the country, I had to fill out a health declaration form. And so this basically was me saying, okay, I have a cough, but I don't have these other symptoms, and you honor that. You obviously should honor that and tell them when you're coming into the country, honestly, if you have a cough. obviously, I was a bit nervous to say that I had a cough or to even cough in the customs line, but all that happened is they briefly separated me into a different line, and they took my temperature, asked me some questions, and then sent me along my way, which was fairly easy. When we got to the train station, it was pretty much the same protocol, just significantly less crowded. On the airplane, everybody was wearing masks. So as you can see, it's not some apocalyptic situation where people are getting locked into their homes or detained at airports because they're coughing. That's just simply not the case. I was not detained at the airport as I'm sitting here filming this video. Obviously not at an airport detention center. I'm in my pajamas, but that's really it. As far as our company, so with our company, they've been pretty great, to be frank. You hear all these horror stories about people moving to China and not being guaranteed their salaries, or their company not giving them enough information. And that's a rightful thing to be concerned about, because in some cases that does happen. However, for me, I obviously went through teaching English in China, and the company I work for has been fantastic. So we have been guaranteed our salaries, and we were paid our salaries. Our housing is still guaranteed, as our housing is paid for, and we have been teaching online from home. And so I've been sitting in front of this computer, delivering online classes to my students, which is not ideal, but it works. I am not exposing myself or my students in a high-risk environment. The reason we're doing online classes is partly to protect our teachers, to stay competitive as our competitors are offering online classes, and also because the government has had schools shut down, right? And so the schools in China have shut to prevent epidemic spread, particularly because students would be a vulnerable population, right? And so the students aren't going to school. They are also doing their online learning from home. In fact, today it was announced or yesterday, the days have been running together. It was announced that the students have online learning platforms and that the government has even assigned a television channel to supplement the learning for students with hourly classes to help them in addition to their current situation with school, because obviously they're missing out a little bit from not being in in-person classes. However, for us and for them, it's best for their safety, right? Our company has been giving us several updates, so we get this memo in our work WeChat group that's like weekly coronavirus update, or coronavirus update 5, or February 29th, it's not February 29th, February 17th, coronavirus update. And it informs us on what the current situation is, how many cases there have been in Fuzhou, how many infected cases, how many severe cases. No one has died in my city. The infection rate in my city has been fairly low, especially even in our province. I'm in the Fujian province, and I'm sure that our infection spread has been under 300 people total in the whole province. Fuzhou, I think, is around 50. I'm not looking at the numbers now, so I'm not positive. Fuzhou is around 50 people have been infected, could be more or less based on that baseline. It's not been in the Gulou district, which is the central city district where I live, but on the islands in Chengla, which is where the airport is, and in another district called Jinan and in Taichung. And those are both far away. So if you think of a county back home, right, it's like a county. It's in a separate county from me. So if I live in Orange County, California, it would be as if it was happening in a different county or like a different city in the greater LA area, right? So think of it as sort of that way. They're very far away from us, and it's not something to be really concerned about. There was one community that had a suspected patient that ended up being quarantined, and some of our teachers were working in that community. That community was quarantined. They were allowed to walk through the community. They were allowed to receive their packages, but they were not allowed to leave the community. However, our company supported them by sending our admins, which are the people who help us on the Chinese end of things with going to the doctor or going through our visa processing or going to the tax office, any kind of concerns where you need someone with specialized knowledge. We're going to check on them. Our company was in touch with them, and they were kept safe and taken care of. They weren't just abandoned on the side of the road. I mean, that's not happening. Generally speaking, in China, the situation is not as dire as people are portraying it back home. You see all of these headlines saying that 10% of the world's population is quarantined. It's not true. we're still able to lead not normal lives, because this is obviously not normal, but we're still able to lead we're still able to lead fairly normal, healthy lives. We're still able to see our friends. We're still able to go out to dinner. We're still able to go to the grocery store. There's no food shortages. It's not as terrible as people think it is. It's not an apocalyptic, world-ending virus. The people who have largely been infected have been the elderly. And the people who have been affected have largely been in Hubei province, in Wuhan. And rather than worrying about yourself in America or in the UK, where there have been a very small number of cases. Piper! Sorry, that's my dog playing with my cat. Rather than worrying about yourself and your family back home in the States and looking at all these headlines and your natural concern for the people you have abroad or for yourself if you're coming over here, take a moment to ask the people who are here what our experiences have been. Are these things that you're seeing on Reddit actually happening? And are they happening regularly? Or was it a one-time thing where someone was in a bad situation or was not compliant with getting their temperature taken or all of the preventative measures? Why are these things happening? And are we seeing these things happening? Talk to the people who are here and get the correct information. Use the correct websites. Use the CDC or the WHO's websites. Those are your best places to get reliable information. And don't spread these headlines that you're seeing on Reddit that it's a bioweapon, which is just for so many reasons not true. Or that it's going to turned into an aerosol. That was a recent rumor that it had turned into an aerosol. An aerosol is when the virus lingers in the air. It is not an aerosol. It has particles that maybe float down slowly that will be expelled from your body if you cough. That's the main way that it's been infecting other people. So from coughing or touching surfaces that have mucus or sputum that people have coughed up, and it lingers on the surface, right? But it is not floating in the air, and it is not passing through pipes, right? The symptoms of the coronavirus are a cough, shortness of breath, and a fever. And in some cases, or severe cases, it develops into pneumonia. So to put that into perspective, a very small percentage of the population of China has been affected, largely in Wuhan province. In Wuhan City and Hubei province. In Hubei province, there's about 60,000 people. With the change in the way that it has been recorded, there has been about 60,000 people affected by the coronavirus. This includes asymptomatic cases, so those who are not showing symptoms of the virus, clinical cases, and severe cases, all of those in between things, with the change in the way that the reporting has been for the virus, right? And even 60,000 people, it's a scary number. It is a scary number to look at. That's still a really small part of the population. If you think about how population dense China is, and especially Wuhan, which is a travel center of China, it literally connects the high-speed railway. It's the major connecting center for it, right? And so if you consider that, it's a very small number of people. And then you look at the number of patients, which before the reporting number changed, which resulted in the escalation of numbers over the past few days. Before that, there was about 20% of people affected, right? So you look at the number of people infected, or 20% of people with severe symptoms. If you look at the number of people infected and then you lower it with the 20% of severe symptoms, you very quickly see that it's scary and it's something to be alert but not anxious about, but it's not something that is going to destroy the population of China. If you are here, you will be fine. If your children are here, they will be safe. The best thing to do is not to pressure them to come home or to spread these headlines and to freak yourself out from looking at these headlines, but it's to ask and to be informed and to be alert but not anxious, quoting Dr. Mike. Inform yourself on what's going on. Ask people who are here what's happening and what their experiences are, and don't fall into the frenzy and the hysteria around the virus. It's natural to be scared, and it's okay. It's okay to be scared, but it shouldn't be something that perpetuates into this humongous issue that just compounds what's happening back home. Because for us, our family's already worried, and we already have to talk them through it. And when you have people back home, escalating it further concerns our families, and it gives us further issues to resolve, right? And please be mindful when you're discussing coronavirus with people, to make sure that you are looking at this as a situation that is affecting people. It's not just affecting those people over yonder across the pond. It's affecting real people. especially the people in Wuhan who are in a really terrible situation, and making light of it or not understanding it or spreading things for clicks or for entertainment or memeing on it is not the appropriate way to handle this. People are sick and people are in bad situations, but that's not everywhere. And so rather than following those clicks and allowing the hysteria to escalate, think about ways that you can support the people in Wuhan and get the right information from the people you know who are here. Please, that's the important thing, is that we support each other through this time and we support the people of Wuhan as best we can, rather than compounding the issue and turning this into something that turns people against each other and creates a situation that is xenophobic or in some cases racist, right? To be frank. And so, yeah, that's my situation with coronavirus in China, how my company has responded, and what my day-to-day life is like. If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them in the comments down below. Currently, it's a bit difficult for us to access YouTube, so it might not be reliable, but this is my experience, and I hope that this eases any concerns for friends and family or prospective teachers who may be coming over here, so you can see that it's not what people are portraying it as, and it also demonstrates that you still are able to lead a normal life, and there is still a sense of normalcy, even being in the situation that we are in, right? And so I hope that addresses any concerns that you may have had. Sorry for my poor camera quality. Sorry for my bit of a spiel, but I've been reflecting on it for a few days, and I wanted to acknowledge it. So yeah, that's it for me today. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments down below. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to Teach English in China for more information about life in China, or not necessarily the coronavirus, but life in China and what it's like for the teachers who are here. So that's it for me, guys. See you later. Jessie signing off. That was so corny.